Hello and welcome to Wallybois. And what we have here is a trend corner chisel. Now you can purchase a corner chisel, which is just like a chisel. Just like an ordinary chisel, but it's effectively perpendicular. But these things are great if you are cutting the corners out of, say for instance, hinge mortises. Sort of shallow mortises. Now, the thing is though, they do get sticky. I don't even see this one here. It's kind of like lumping backwards and forwards. It's not retracting all the way. Also, it's got a little bit dull because I do actually use it. It's actually quite a useful little thing because all you do is, let's say for instance, you have used the router to cut out your. I didn't mention the router, did I? Yeah, use the router to cut out a hinge mortise. You can be left with round corners, and unless you've got round cornered hinges, which you might have, you can need to remove that little bit. A corner chisel would do it, or one of these little trend corner chisels. Now you can buy some cheap versions of these from China. I would recommend it because they're not very expensive anyway. So the thing is though, they do become sticky and also they do get a little bit blunt, alright? And considering you're cutting end grain as well as long grain with one of these, you really want it to be sharp. And they are very effective though. So what you want to do is obviously to sharpen this little tool, because that's what we're going to do, you want to make sure everything is lubed, because you've got to lube your tool, okay? Also want to make sure you're not going to use your screws. Yeah, you don't want to lose your screw, okay? Now, alright, so we're going to use a little magnetic dish. I nearly forgot. A little magnetic dish to put the screws in. Now we have a little, what is that, 2mm I think it is, or 1.5, 2mm Allen key. Sorry if that was 16th, one of the other, I don't know. I haven't looked. So anyway, I'm going to remove the screws and I'm going to put them in here. Now there's a spring in here, so you've got to be careful. You don't want it to end up pinging out, do you? No. And we're going to sharpen this. Now there's one thing you bear in mind with anything like this is you don't necessarily want to try and sharpen the same faces that the faces that you might expect that you would need to sharpen. So it goes like so. This bit here holds that in, so that's the retainer. And then we have this little cast and machined, little chisel. That's what it is, a little chisel. You could use it like that even, couldn't you? In there you have a spring, okay? And that spring sits underneath that little piece there, okay? So bear that in mind. Now, to remove that spring, so I'm removing everything because I'm going to use this opportunity to make sure everything is clean. There's a Allen key on the end with what looks like a big washer. Okay, so you've got to remove that using the magnetic dish again, or just a magnet. Anything will do. Just hold your bits and pieces. You see, so yeah, you can't. That's aluminium, but the rest of it, you can't lose your screws. You don't want to lose your screw. Now that spring should hopefully push out. It might be a bit tight because I don't really need to take it out to be honest, but I'm going to take it out just to make a point of tight. Yeah, there you go. There's the spring. Okay, so that's all the components. They're all out now. So what we need to do is make sure everything, including the screw holes, where the threaded parts are, everything is lubricated. Alright? I'm using an opportunity to make sure everything's clean, everything's lubricated. And I could do with a little rag or something. There's always one over there. Why don't we go and grab one over there? If you've got a part cleaner and pot or whatever, you can put all the bits in there and go proper soap and clean. Now I do have an ultrasonic cleaner. I could put it in there if I want. I don't think that's really necessary because all the parts you can see, all the faces are exposed, so you don't really need to soak it. And besides, that'll take the label off probably using that. And yeah, it doesn't really matter. I suppose probably not. I'll put that to one side. I don't need that at the moment. Same with this piece. So I don't really need that at all at the moment. I'm just cleaning them up and putting them to one side. Because they're not the bits that need to be sorted out. I'm just cleaning the old muck off. That's all I'm doing on those. So that's good enough. So that's nice and clean now. It's a little retainer there. We'll move these over there as well. I'll just clean this washer because it's in a bit of a nasty state. The thing is, when you do this, all the metal components are not going to rust on you, are they? This is the bit that's important. Alright, this is the bit that does the work. But as you can see, there's a little bit of surface pit going on there. And dirt. And that's what's causing the problem. Now I have a fine little trend, or DT, what do you call it? Can't remember now what it's called now. DT, DT, oh anyway, sharpener. It's it's a fine one. And I have my little chisel component here. God, that feels filthy. All like gum and grime all sticks to it. And we're going to literally flat down on there. Alright, we're going to bring you in a bit closer, okay? We're going in a bit closer. There we are. Alright. There we go. Alright, there we go. So, and now I'm just going to literally move that backwards and forwards on the flat of that little sharpener, like so. That will clean off the grime. It'll also put an edge on the sharpened edges. Now, it'll probably just about enough to do what I need it to do. Now I know you can say, why aren't you doing the bevel and stuff? Well, for start, you can't really get right in there very easily to do the bevel all the way to the end. But what you're actually effectively doing, by polishing this off with a sharpener, you inherently are sharpening this edge, and that feels so much sharper now already. So literally, I'm just putting pressure on here, like so. I don't want to take too much off. I'm not trying to make the thing smaller. But I can feel that already. That's definitely sharper than... Yeah, definitely. So now I'm going to do the other face. Let's just put some more oil on there. I say oil, it's a mixture of white spirit and engine oil. That's all I use for my sharpening. And I know it's diamond. Oh, why don't you just use water? Using dirty old oil. I use oil because I actually want to stop the things from blinking and rusting. I think it makes sense. You know, this is how I do it, you know. You do it how you want to do it, okay? If you want your tools to rust. Never understood about adding water. You can use Windex, which is a bit better. You use Windoline, basically. That doesn't rust quite as rapidly. Right, so I think I'm quite happy at that. A little bit more on that one. Make sure it's very fine. You want about 3,000 grit. At the very least, over 1,000 grit sharpener for doing this job. Otherwise, you're going to create loads of little grooves in it, those little scratches. No, that's good. I'm happy at that. While I'm at it, I'm just going to clean up the other faces. Not because, you know, that I'm trying to sharpen the other face. All I'm trying to do is just get the dirt off them. Because it's all that dirt, it builds up, ends up causing the problems. That's good. That looks good there. There's nothing sticking on there. So now we're back to the reassemble, not disassemble number 5, the reassemble. Right, so we have to reinsert our springy thing. That's a technical term, just in case you didn't know. It went a certain way. It doesn't actually matter at all what way round it goes in. You just got to push that spring in from one end until you get it to the bottom. Alright, the spring has to be able to move backwards and forwards. If it doesn't, if it's sticking, it's going to carry on sticking and you'll have problems with your... No, that's good. Right, plonk a bit of oil in there. Make sure it's got its lube. Alright. We then have to put in, reinsert, actually goes that way, doesn't it? Oh, that's a bit sticky, that is. Let's have a look at that. We'll put that the other way around. That end appears to be fatter than that end. So we'll slide it in that way. Otherwise it ain't going to slide up properly. That's better. I think that's better anyway. So now what we're going to have to do is reinsert or refix the little washer on the end to stop the spring from pinging out. That would be annoying otherwise, wouldn't it? Before I... that way around. It's going to go on there like that. Okay. That's got to be pushed down. We've got to get that in there, so that's it, like that. Now you've made a mistake. So you have to get that face there, and you've got to slide it in there like so, and you've got to be able to then put the washer and the screw on there. You have to hold it while you do this, otherwise the little plate, the little chisel will pop off. That'll end up end up on the floor. So you have to make sure you hold that. Get your Allen key, like so. Don't do it all the way, just hand tight. And then we have, what way around does that go? I think that's that way around, isn't it? Yeah. Like. I think that's the way around. I can't remember now. Was that way around or the other way around? Why would it be that way around? Let's try the other way around. No, it's that way, isn't it? So that goes in there. Yeah, it's that way. I was getting confused then. So we've got to try and get the screws back in without losing them. But I've got oil on my lips. Ugh, don't taste good. Okay. That one. Then that one. And now we can tighten them up. Just make sure hand tight to start with, sorry. And then we'll make sure it works, as in slides down against the spring. Make sure we push that right through and it goes back. Yes, it's not sticking now. It's going backwards and forwards smoothly, which it wasn't doing before. We can see the plain iron there. So effectively what you do is you slide it up into the corner of a rounded corner, and then you can cut the corner out square. Tighten that one, and tighten that one, and then we're back to as it was. So effectively imagine it being on there like so, and you then tap that down there like so, and you can, as you can see, it cuts a right angle there. Let's do it again. So you can, 2 taps. There and there. And that's basically what it's for. It's cutting out the corners of the like a hinge mortise, effectively. And they're really useful little tools. Like I said, you can buy these really cheap off Temu and AliExpress and places like that from China. But the Trend one is not the same. It's definitely better made. There's others that are just copies, you know. I imagine Trend has probably put a patent on these, but maybe not in China. So there you go. How to sharpen your corner chisel, which happens to be a mortise, hinge mortise corner chisel. Really useful little tool. There you go. Anyway, please hit the like button and maybe subscribe to the channel. And a little bell icon, because then you get a warm face video in your pocket every time I upload another video. Toodaloo.